top of the day, beautiful people. Top of the day. Auntie Belinda Brown. Shalom, shalom. Grand rising, family. Grand rising. All right, beautiful people. It is Thursday. Happy Thursday. I should probably go get I'll bring it out later. It is January the 20th. My time is flying by. January the 20th, 2022. Today is day 9 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1027. Today, y'all, we're going to read Genesis 25 through 27, and we're going to start with chapter 1 of My Big Toe. Okay. All right, Dana. I just saw your message. Okay, yeah, text me what happened. Shayla, Betwabu. Hey, girl, hey. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and get started right here. Go ahead and do this Shema, joy, shalom, shalom. Anybody start searching into the Sumerian text yet? I'm just asking. The ancient Sumerian text. All right, beautiful people. You're going to be quite amazed. You read some of it last year. You get to some of the parts where it almost word for word give you words from the Torah. Mind you, what's the latest version? The Torah, the Bible is the latest, the newest version of all the books. Yeah. I'm just like, what? I'm going over this. I'm like, what? Adaya, shalom, shalom. Ki muntu kiku, you star 87. It's so fun to say your name. Salama, salama. Y'all, I was going over this, read all the books. Yo, I'm just like, oh, the lies. How far have we fallen from the truth? I'm just like all day while I was I had to put it down. Because when I was helping the kids do school, I was getting sidetracked listening. So I was like, wait, what? What? That's in Genesis. What? This text is wait, what? I had to cut it off while I finished helping my kids with school. Because I was doing more listening to that than I was helping them do the school. And Josh was in this new section in his math where he doing math with Greek with the Greek alphabet. I called my mama. Well, actually, my mama called me while we was doing it. And so Josh was like, Mom, I need help with this part. I'm like, what, Josh? He said, I got to take this quiz, but look at these questions. So I'm looking at the questions. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I had to sit there with him to help him go through the test. I'm like, clearly, son. I said, I know they had to give you this through the through the lesson or whatever. He said, they did, and I got them right, but now I got to work them out. I said, well, you got to show your work. So he was like, he was getting frustrated and stuff. So I was like, all right, forget it. I was like, here's what we'll do. I cut you a little slack today. I'm going to sit here and we're going to do it together. I'll write while you tell me, all right? Because he didn't want to do the writing because it'd take him a little bit longer to write. So they just gave him simple math problems, right? But he had to decode it. They gave him a chart with the Greek alphabet and each one represented a number. So they gave him word problems instead of actually using numbers. So he didn't want to sit there and do all the decoding and stuff for the numbers, then add them up, and then do whatever the overall problem was. It was literally multiple choice. But in order to get the right answer, to make sure you got the right answer, you needed to work out all four. Then answer the overall problem for the four. After you got the answer, to see what the answer was for each, then answer the main problem. I'm like, oh my God, it literally took us half an hour to answer. It was probably more like 40 minutes, 45 minutes, just to answer like 10 questions. He got 100, but I'm like, oh my goodness. I started to be like, man, forget this. You ain't never going to use this in life. Like I used to do it all myself. I was like, I ain't going to use, forget this. I don't need to do this. I ain't going to do this. I ain't never going to use this in life. But the point I was failing to realize in my younger days, and even almost yesterday, is not whether you actually use it, because later on in life, when you do actually have to use it, like say you do actually become an engineer or something, you're going to have to re-go through school anyway, college courses or a special class, just to sharpen up on those skills anyway. You're just going to have to do it over anyway, right? But it's good to already have some background, at least have the basic understanding. But the whole purpose of it is exercising your brain, right? Not just exercising your brain for the sake of it, but being able to logically think through problems, right? Although you may never use algebra, you may encounter other problems in life where you're going to have to think through steps. And if you're always skipping out on the math problems, or I ain't never going to use this, you're never going to develop that function in your brain. Yeah, so yeah, I lost all them skills. Like yesterday, I didn't want to teach them bad habits because I was really about to say, you know, that nah, just go. And they had Roman numeral questions in there, right? Look, Chloe, have mercy. I was like, and we worked through one and we added it up wrong. Because you know me and Roman numerals don't get along too hot just yet. But he's in it, they added some Roman numerals in there as well. We had to look up the Roman numeral chart. I was like, oh shoot, XIV is not 16, it's 14. I was like, wait a minute, let's go back, double check all these numbers, Josh. And he looking at me like, I thought you were supposed to know this. I'm like, well, I don't. I'm learning just like you. And so, but anyway, there's a little sidebar before we get started. Yo, but anyway, y'all start looking into the ancient Sumerian text, y'all. Seriously, it's gonna blow your mind how much the new Bible is fashioned after some of the most ancient documents, right? And it you're gonna start asking some other questions. That's all I'm gonna say at this point right here. I'm just like, what? And I just sat there for a second. Now I got to think through a whole lot of stuff, you know. So I'm just, whew, okay. Call for a wholehearted commitment. These are the commands, decrees, and regulations that the Lord your God commanded me to teach you. You must obey them in the land you are about to enter and occupy, and you and your children and grandchildren must fear Yahuwah your God as long as you live. If you obey all his decrees and commands, you will enjoy a long life. Listen closely, Israel, and be careful to obey. Then all will go well with you, and you will have many children in the land flowing with milk and honey, just as Yahuwah, the God of your ancestors, promised you. Listen, O Israel, Yahuwah, our God, he is one God, and you must love Yahuwah your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. And you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these commands that I am giving you today. Repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you're at home and when you're on the road, when you're going to bed and when you're getting up. Tie them to your hands and wear them on your forehead as reminders. Write them on the doorposts of your house and your gates. Yahuwah your God will soon bring you into the land he swore to give to you when he made a vow to your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It is a land with large, prosperous cities that you did not build. The houses will be richly stocked with goods you did not produce. You will draw water from cisterns you did not dig, and you will eat from vineyards and olive trees you did not plant. When you have eaten your fill in this land, be careful not to forget Yahuwah who rescued you from slavery in the land of Egypt. You must fear Yahuwah your God and serve him. When you take an oath, you must only use his name. You must not worship any of the gods of the neighboring nations, for Yahuwah your God, who lives among you, is a jealous God. His anger will flare up against you, and he will wipe you from the face of the earth. You must not test Yahuwah your God as you did when you complained at Massa. You must diligently obey the commands of Yahuwah your God, all the laws and decrees he has given you. Do what is right and good in Yahuwah's sight, so all will go well with you. Then you will enter and occupy the good land that Yahuwah swore to give to your ancestors. You would drive out all the enemies living in the land, just as Yahuwah said you would. In the future, your children will ask you, what is the meaning of these laws, decrees, and regulations that Yahuwah our God commanded us to obey? Then you must tell them, excuse me, then you must tell them, we were Pharaoh's slaves in Egypt. But Yahuwah brought us out of Egypt with his strong hand. Yahuwah did miraculous signs and wonders before our eyes, dealing terrifying blows against Egypt and Pharaoh and all his people. He brought us out of Egypt so he could give us this land he had sworn to give to our ancestors. And Yahuwah our God commanded us to obey all these decrees and to fear him so that he can continue to bless us and preserve our lives as he has done to this day. For we will be counted as righteous when we obey all the commands Yahuwah our God has given us. All right, beautiful people. Where we at? I'm just sitting here really thinking about this. I'm like, you know what? There's an adjustment coming soon. Hold on. Oh, I missed the ass. How I misspelled this. Okay. Yeah, but even though those ancient Sumerian texts, they don't use the names like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the names that we see in the Bible, they use other names. But if you're familiar with the Torah, with the Bible, when it gets to those stories, you can clearly tell what it is. You can tell, you be like, oh yeah, that's such and such. Oh yeah, that's such and such. Wait, what they call him back in the day? What was his name? Oh yeah, that's that story right there. But it's a whole lot of other stuff added in there. I'm like, well, not added in there, I guess. When they comprised the Bible, they just took bits and pieces of a more ancient text and just created it. And y'all, it's just my mind is just going about all of this. Joy said, I have some questions about the chanting. What about before we get started? Yeah, go ahead. Message me on Facebook. Okay. All right, y'all. So Genesis chapter 25, the death of Abraham. Abraham married another wife whose name was Keturah. Remember, if you read Legends of the Jews, we find out Keturah is actually Hagar, right? It actually says when they introduced Keturah, they said that this is Hagar, Isaac. I keep saying Isaac, Ishmael's mother, right? So Keturah and Haggai is the same person. He just actually married her this time after Sarah died. Okay. Abraham married another wife whose name was Keturah. She gave birth to Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan was the father of Sheba and Dedan. Dedan's descendants were the Asherites, Letushites, and Lemurites. And these names of these sons in here, along with Ishmael, they're mentioned in there too. So these are Ishmael's brethren. Midian's sons were Ephah, Epher, Hanok, Abida, and Elada. I'm sorry, Eldah. These were all descendants of Abraham through Keturah. Abraham gave everything he owned to his son Isaac, but before he died, he gave gifts to the sons of his concubines and sent them off to a land in the east away from Isaac. Abraham lived for 175 years, and he died in a ripe old age, having lived a long and satisfying life. He breathed his last and joined his ancestors in death. His sons, Isaac and Ishmael, buried him in the cave of Machpelah near Mamre in the field of Ephron, son of Zoar the Hittite. This was the field Abraham had purchased from the Hittites where he had buried his wife Sarah. After Abraham's death, God blessed his son Isaac, who settled near Bir Lahai Roy in the Negev. Ishmael's descendants. This is the account of the family of Ishmael, the son of Abraham through Hagar, Sarah's Egyptian servant. Here is a list by their names and clans of Ishmael's descendants. The oldest was Nebueth, followed by Kedar, Adbil, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Tema, Jeter, Naphish, and Kedema. These 12 sons of Ishmael became the founders of 12 tribes named after them, listed according to the places they settled and camped. Ishmael lived for 137 years. Then he breathed his last and joined his ancestors in death. Ishmael's descendants occupied the region from Havilah to Shur, which is east of Egypt in the direction of Asher. There they lived in open hostility toward all their relatives. The births of Esau and Jacob. This is the account of the family of Isaac, the son of Abraham. When Isaac was 40 years old, he married Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the Aramean from Padan Aram, and the sister of Laban the Aramean. Isaac pleaded with the Lord on behalf of his wife because she was unable to have children. The Lord answered Isaac's prayer, and Rebekah became pregnant with twins. But the two children struggled with each other in her womb, so he went to ask the Lord about it. Why is this happening to me? She asked. And the Lord told her, the sons in your womb will become two nations. From the very beginning, the two nations will be rivals. One nation will be stronger than the other, and your older son will serve your younger son. And when the time came to give birth, Rebekah discovered that she did indeed have twins. The first one was very red at birth and covered with thick hair like a fur coat, so they named him Esau. Then the other twin was born with his hand grasping Esau's heel, so they named him Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when the twins were born. Esau sells his birthright. As the boys grew up, Esau became a skillful hunter. He was an outdoorsman, but Jacob had a quiet temperament, preferring to stay at home. Isaac loved Esau because he enjoyed eating the wild game Esau brought home, but Rebekah loved Jacob. One day, when Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau arrived home from the wilderness exhausted and hungry. Esau said to Jacob, I'm starved. Give me some of that red stew. This is how Esau got his other name, Edom, which means red. All right, Jacob replied, but trade me your rights as the firstborn son. Look, I'm dying of starvation, said Esau. What good is my birthright to me now? But Jacob said, first, you must swear that your birthright is mine. So Esau swore an oath, thereby selling all his rights as the firstborn to his brother Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and lentil stew. Esau ate the meal, then got up and left. He showed contempt for his rights as the firstborn. Shalom, shalom, mom, shalom, shalom. You know what? I hadn't heard that yet. Adiah, the Mazarite, says that Moses had 3 wives. Hey, son. Genesis chapter 26. Isaac deceives Abimelech. A severe famine now struck the land and had happened before in Abraham's time. So Isaac moved to Gerar, where Abimelech, king of the Philistines, lived. The Lord appeared to Isaac and said, do not go down to Egypt, but do as I tell you. Live here as a foreigner in this land, and I will be with you and bless you. I hereby confirm that I give all these lands to you and to your descendants, just as I solemnly promised Abraham your father. I will cause your descendants to become as numerous as the stars of the sky, and I will give them all these lands. And through your descendants, all the nations of the earth will be blessed. I will do this because Abraham listened to me and obeyed all my requirements, commands, decrees, and instructions. So Isaac stayed in Gerar. When the men who lived there asked Isaac about his wife, Rebekah, he said, she is my sister. He was afraid to say, "She is my wife," he thought. "They will kill me to get to her because she is so beautiful." But sometime later, Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked out his window and saw Isaac caressing Rebekah. Immediately, Abimelech called for Isaac and exclaimed, "She is obviously your wife. Why did you say she is my sister?" "Because I was afraid someone would kill me to get her from me," Isaac replied. "How could you do this to us?" Abimelech exclaimed. "One of my people might have easily taken your wife and slept with her, and you would have made us guilty of great sin." Then Abimelech issued a proclamation: "Anyone who touches this man or his wife will be put to death." They obviously remember what happened with Abraham and Sarah, right? Conflict over water rights. When Isaac planted his crops that year, he harvested 100 times more grain than he had planted, for the Lord blessed him. He became a very rich man, and his wealth continued to grow. He acquired so many flocks of sheep and goats, herds of cattle, and servants that the Philistines became jealous of him. So the Philistine, so the Philistines filled up all of Isaac's wells with dirt. These were the wells that had been dug by the servants of his father, Abraham. Finally, Abimelech ordered Isaac to leave the country. "Go somewhere else," he said, "for you have become too powerful for us." So Isaac moved away to the Gerar Valley, where he set up their tents and settled down. He reopened the wells his father had dug, which the Philistines had filled after Abraham's death. Isaac also restored the names Abraham had given them. Isaac's servants also dug in the Gerar Valley and discovered a well of fresh water. But then the shepherds from Gerar came and claimed the spring. "This is our water," they said, and they argued over it with Isaac's herdsmen. So Isaac named that well Esek, which means argument. Isaac's men then dug another well, but again there was a dispute over it. So Isaac named it Sitnah, which means hostility. Abandoning that one, Isaac moved on and dug another well. This time there was no dispute over it, so Isaac named the place Rehoboth, which means open space. For he said, "At last, the Lord has created enough space for us to prosper in this land." From there, Isaac moved to Beersheba, where the Lord had appeared to him on the night of his arrival. "I am the God of your father, Abraham," he said. "Do not be afraid, for I am with you, and I will bless you. I will multiply your descendants, and they will become a great nation. I will do this because of my promise to Abraham, my servant." Then Isaac built an altar there and worshiped the Lord. He set up his camp at that place, and his servants dug another well. Isaac's covenant with Abimelech. One day, King Abimelech came from Gerar with his advisor Ahuzah and also Phicol, his army commander. "Why have you come here?" Isaac asked. "You obviously hate me since you kicked me off your land." They replied, "We can plainly see that the Lord is with you. So we want to enter into a sworn treaty with you. Let's make a covenant. Swear that you will not harm us, just as we have never troubled you. We have always treated you well, and we sent you away from us in peace. And now look how the Lord has blessed you." So Isaac prepared a covenant feast to celebrate the treaty, and they ate and drank together. Early the next morning, they each took a solemn oath not to interfere with each other. Then Isaac sent them home again, and they left him in peace. That very day, Isaac's servants came and told him about a new well that they had dug. "We found water," they exclaimed. So Isaac named the well Sheba, which means oath. And to this day, the town that grew up there is called Beersheba, which means well of the oath. At the age of 40, Esau married two Hittite wives, Judith, the daughter of Beri, and Basemath, the daughter of Elon. But Esau's wife, excuse me, but Esau's wives made life miserable for Isaac and Rebekah. Last chapter for today, Genesis chapter 27. Jacob steals Esau's blessing. One day, Isaac was old and turning blind. One day, when Isaac was old and turning blind, he called for Esau, his older son, and said, "My son." "Yes, father." Esau replied. I am an old man now, Isaac said, and I don't know when I may die. Take your bow and quiver full of arrows and go out into the open country and hunt some wild game for me. Prepare my favorite dish and bring it here for me to eat. Then I will pronounce the blessing that belongs to you, my firstborn son, before I die. But Rebekah overheard what Isaac had said to his son Esau. So when Esau left to hunt for the wild game, she said to her son Jacob, listen, I overheard your father say to Esau, bring me some wild game and prepare me a delicious meal. Then I will bless you in the Lord's presence before I die. Now, my son, listen to me. Do it exactly as I tell you. Go out to the flocks and bring me two fine young goats. I'll use them to prepare your father's favorite dish. Then take the food to your father so he can eat it and bless you before he dies. But look, Jacob replied to Rebekah, my brother Esau is a hairy man and my skin is smooth. What if my father touches me? He'll see that I'm trying to trick him and then he'll curse me instead of blessing me. But his mother replied, then let the curse fall on me, my son. Just do what I tell you. Go out and get the goats for me. So Jacob went out and got the young goats for his mother. Rebekah took them and prepared a delicious meal just the way Isaac liked it. Then she took Esau's favorite clothes, which were there in the house, and gave them to her younger son Jacob. She covered his arms and the smooth part of his neck with the skin of young goats. Then she gave Jacob delicious meal then she gave Jacob the delicious meal, including freshly baked bread. So Jacob took the food to his father. My father, he said. Yes, my son, Isaac answered. Who are you, Esau or Jacob? Jacob replied, it's Esau, your firstborn son. I've done as you told me. Here's the wild game. Now sit up and eat it so you can give me a blessing. Isaac asked, how did you find it so quickly, my son? The Lord your God put it in my path, Jacob replied. Then Isaac said to Jacob, come closer so I can touch you and make sure that you are really Esau. So Jacob went closer to his father, and Isaac touched him. The voice is Jacob's, but the hands are Esau's, Isaac said. But he did not recognize Jacob because Jacob's hands felt hairy, just like Esau's. So Isaac prepared to bless Jacob. But are you really my son, Esau? He asked. Yes, I am, Jacob replied. Then Isaac said, now, my son, bring me the wild game. Let me eat it, and then I will give you my blessing. So Jacob took the food to his father, and Isaac ate it. He also drank the wine that Jacob served him. Then Isaac said to Jacob, please come a little closer and kiss me, my son. So Jacob went over and kissed him. And when Isaac caught the smell of his clothes, he was finally convinced and he blessed his son. He said, ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of the outdoors, which the Lord has blessed. From the dew of heaven and the richness of the earth, may God always give you abundant harvest of grain and bountiful new wine. May many nations become your servants and may they bow down before you. May you be the master over your brothers, and may your mother's sons bow down to you. All who curse you will be cursed, and all who bless you will be blessed. As soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, and almost before Jacob had left his father, Esau returned from his hunt. Esau prepared a delicious meal and brought it to his father. Then he said, sit up, my father, and eat my wild game so you can give me your blessing. But Isaac asked him, who are you? Esau replied, it's your son, your firstborn son Esau. Isaac began to tremble uncontrollably and said, then who just served me wild game? I have already eaten it, and I have blessed him just before you came. And yes, that blessing must stand. When Esau heard his father's words, he let out a loud and bitter cry. Oh, my father, what about me? Bless me too, he begged. But Isaac said, your brother was here, and he tricked me. He has taken away your blessing. Esau exclaimed, no wonder his name is Jacob, for now he has cheated me twice. First, he took my rights as the firstborn son, and now he has stolen my blessing. Oh, haven't you saved even one blessing for me? Isaac said to Esau, I have made Jacob your master and have declared that all his brothers will be his servants. I have guaranteed him an abundance of grain and wine. What is left for me to give you, my son? Esau pleaded, But do you only have one blessing? Oh, my father blessed me too. Then Esau broke down and wept. Finally, his father Isaac said to him, you will live away from the richness of the earth and away from the dew of the heaven above. You will live by your sword and you will serve your brother. But when you decide to break free, you will shake his yoke from your neck. Jacob flees to Padan Aram. From that time on, Esau hated Jacob because their father had given Jacob the blessing, and Esau to scheme, I will soon be mourning my father's death. Then I will kill my brother Jacob. But Rebekah heard about Esau's plans, so she sent for Jacob and told him, listen, Esau is consoling himself by plotting to kill you. So listen carefully, my son. Get ready and flee to my brother Laban in Haran. Stay there with him until your brother cools off. When he calms down and forgets what you have done to him, I will send for you to come back. Why should I lose both of you in one day? Then Rebekah said to Isaac, I am sick of these local Hittite women. I would rather die than to see Jacob marry one of them. And that, my beautiful people, is our reading for today. Oh, that's my brethren. Hold on, y'all. Jeremiah. Good day. All right, y'all. He said I almost said good morning. Okay, y'all. It is. I think the Million Power rolling through here, they preparing. They preparing for this little, I don't know, I think they checking
on
stuff.
Your phone. Oh, okay. Damn, I have to get it out.
Okay, beautiful people. Oh, I'm picking up this. I forgot. We reading from the book. All right, y'all. Back to my big toe.
That was I tell you. You got something?
All right, y'all. So remember yesterday I said I was going to share with y'all the list of acronyms and everything. So you have a quick reference just in case you don't actually have the book. What I should have did was put me like a little sticky in here. So just in case, because I will refer to it a couple times when he give. I'll just keep my finger right here. Hold on. Let me just do this real quick. Just in case. Just in case I need to flip back real to it so I can find it real quick. Okay.
I just don't want to get out there like that.
All right, y'all. Section 1. Delusion.
Oh, in your business?
No, y'all just kind of loud. I mean, y'all can still have y'all conversation. I mean, just
listen to you.
Take it out in the hallway.
Listen to you.
Section 1.
Okay.
Delusion or knowledge. Is this guy nuts or what? Introduction to Section 1. Beginning with a partial biography of the author may appear to be unnecessary and off the point. Ordinarily, an author's background is adequately covered by a few paragraphs on the inside jacket of the cover. However, understanding the origins of the author's experience is where the adventure must begin. If you do not know anything at all about me, the rest of this effort, would you stop? This is my friend. They sent me a Christmas card, so I'm using it as my bookmark so I can see her beautiful family, at least for while we read this book. Stop.
You got white friends? What you got?
Don't start.
What you got? Why don't you do something with that head of yours? You gonna wrap it up?
I have friends of all nationalities. Thank you. Matter of fact, we went to high school together.
You gonna cut that crap off your face?
Sometimes he don't know what to say out his mouth.
God, boy, you got almost looking like a wolf, your brother. There's a process. No, don't.
Y'all sitting here like I'm really not live. Like,
oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Sorry, but I mean, forgive us. I know, right? Let's go outside and talk. It's too cold out there.
Excuse them, y'all. Okay. If you do not know anything at all about me, the rest of this effort may wither on the conceptual vine before it is ripe. This trilogy sets forth a big picture theory of everything, more concisely known as my big toe, known as a big toe, that contains, as any big toe must, a comprehensive model of reality. Because my big toe is so unusual, so far away from the thoughts you are probably used to thinking, it is important that you have some understanding of the seed, soil, and roots from which this unusual exposition sprang. Knowing its origins, I know hard here, right? Knowing its origins, the mental metal Mettle, knowing its origins, the mental metal from which it has been hammered out may help provide the context required to assess the genuineness of my big toe. Yes, Mr. Murphy, do you have something to say?
How dare you?
How dare I?
How dare you?
How dare you three? This trilogy presents a working model of the larger reality based upon the data I have collected through a lifetime of careful scientific exploration. Section 1 describes how fate sent me down this highly unusual path and then delivered me up to the extraordinary experiences required to formulate the concepts presented in these pages. You ain't gonna sit down here, you just go.
How dare you? I mean, you teed me off. I mean,
Have a seat. Have a seat.
I mean, you teed me off. I mean,
The intent is to give you some insight into who I am,
disturbed,
where I'm coming from, and how I ended up with so much unusual. I'm sorry, and how I ended up with such an unusual big toe. This trilogy is about reality, not a biography about me. Accordingly, please pardon my skipping here and there about my life and flying swiftly over things that you might wish I would explain in more detail. For now, a quick trip through the formative years is enough. I will not attempt to explain the last 20 years of my becoming, but will instead focus on the 10 years before that. That is when the mold was made and the direction of my life set. Although I have learned much during the preceding 30 years and have mellowed and gained in wisdom as one typically does with age, I have not changed my basic approach to learning, knowledge, or science since the events that I'm about to since the events that I am about to share with you transpired. Let me read the whole sentence again. Hold on. Although I have learned much during the preceding 30 years and have mellowed and gained in wisdom as one typically does with age, I have not changed my basic approach to learning, knowledge, or science since the events that I am about to share with you transpired. You can go, Mr. Murphy. You act like you're sitting in the principal's office.
I do feel like that.
You sitting here like. Chapter 2. Hey, mister, you want to learn to meditate?
I know how to meditate.
You don't know how to do one type of meditation.
I got something that you can do.
Hey.
I got something. Trust.
Hey, mister. Chapter 2. That's actually the chapter name. Hey, mister, you want to learn how to meditate? You ought to listen to this. This is really cool, though. You should. I mean, you can walk out anytime you want to, but
let me entertain me. Come on.
Okay.
Entertain me.
How did a nice scientist like me end up in a strange place like this? My family had no unusual interests. We were normal through and through. Perhaps we were more problem free than normal, but no strangeness at the roots. I did well at college, graduating with a double major in physics and math, then on to graduate school where I picked up a master's degree in physics and started working on my PhD. I passed the preliminary exams and qualifiers on the first try and settled into thesis research in the specialized area of experimental nuclear physics. It was 1968, and I was your typical 23-year-old physicist, excessively cerebral, out of touch with my feelings, analytical, precise, curious, and above all, intellectually motivated and driven. Not a hint of strangeness anywhere. If you had known any brash young physicists, you are probably aware that they tend to be unusual, somewhat skewed off the norm, one might say politely. If you are not that polite and were not snowed or imitated by their dominating intellectual style, then arrogant rather than unusual would probably be the adjective that most naturally would come to mind. On a warm day late in the spring of 1971, while walking into the physics building on the way to teaching an undergraduate class, I noticed a large poster advertising a free lecture on transcendental meditation, or more simply, TM. Remember, that's one of the acronyms, TM, Transcendental Meditation, or simply TM, as most people refer to it. As a graduate student, poverty was a normal and given circumstance. Consequently, anything free caught my attention. Control your mind, the poster shouted in large block lettering. Learn how to relax deeply and lower your blood pressure. Okay, I thought that's nice, but who cares? I continued reading. Improve your concentration and decrease your need for sleep. What? I read that line again. Now it was interesting as well as free. A few days later, I attended the free lecture. TM was presented as science, technique, and results, stimulus, and response. There was no theory. One regularly performs this uncomplicated meditation process, and psychological benefits automatically accrue. Period. There was no dependency on Eastern philosophy, mysticism, or any belief system. I wanted no associations with things that were non scientific, mystical, or base belief. In other words, goofy. That sort of hocus pocus was for gullible people with uncontrolled emotional needs. The two TM presenters, Transcendental Meditation presenters, backed up their claims with some serious looking research papers and informal studies by reputable individuals at reputable institutions. It seemed straightforward enough for the special student rate of only $20. I would be taught to meditate in 4 hours spread over 1 week. Better concentration, clearer thinking, improved memory, reduced stress. I would need less sleep, all for $20 and 4 hours. I was skeptical, but if it worked as half as well as the presenters claimed, it would be a good investment for any student. In those days, $20 was a lot of money, serious money for a struggling grad student. Still, it was the 70s. I was a student, and a short walk on the wild side, doing something counter to the main culture, seemed almost obligatory. I signed up. Just follow these instructions, the TM guy said with a friendly smile, handing me a packet of paper as he took my check. Chapter 2, The Sacrificial Banana. That's about to get in. Go ahead upstairs. The sacrificial banana. Here's where it gets into it, y'all. A week later, I was on my way to the TM Center. Remember, TM is Transcendental Meditation. Uncle Nathaniel, peaceful greetings. Yahuwah is one. Yes, amen. Israelite Maya. I don't know what you said, but you retracted your message. But shalom. Welcome to my dojo. Okay, y'all. The sacrificial banana. A week later, Grand Rising, Uncle JB. A week later, I was on my way to the TM Center to pick up my personal meditation sound called a mantra. It would take less than 5 minutes, they promised. Stop by, get your mantra, then attend the 4 hour training sessions. What could be easier? As per the directions, on the appointed day, I showed up at this seedy little house with a clean handkerchief and a banana. A clean handkerchief and a banana. What a crock. I began to doubt the wisdom of what I was doing and felt more than a little foolish walking up to this house with my banana and hanky. Anybody who needed fresh fruit and a handkerchief to teach me how to meditate was likely to be either goofy or fraudulent. That was the first sign of strangeness. I had seriously thought about showing up without the handkerchief and fruit just to see what would happen. But realism interceded. Blessings, Lavon. I decided instead that humoring them would be a better strategy. Their inane request seemed harmless enough, and more importantly, they already had my $20. What's the banana? What's with the banana? I said derisively, holding my banana up to the first person I saw. What's fruit have to do with meditation? I asked. They never said anything to me about fruit and handkerchiefs at the lecture I attended. This seems a little goofy to me. The person I was addressing evidently wasn't a hard science type. He was as clueless as I was, but questioning the interrelationship among meditation, fruit, and handkerchiefs had eventually never occurred to him. I found that difficult to understand. He looking like, none of y'all asked questions about this handkerchief and this banana. Am I the only one? None of this seems odd or strange to y'all. The person I was addressing evidently wasn't a hard science type. He was as clueless as I, but questioning the interrelationship among meditation, fruit, and a handkerchief had evidently never occurred to him. I found that difficult to understand. His reply had been an exaggerated shrug of his shoulders, followed by a big, broad smile. It was now obvious that this guy was doing what he was told without thinking about it. He was probably wondering why I was making such a big deal over a banana that wasn't expensive or much trouble to get. He seemed a little embarrassed and uncomfortable with my directness. I looked away, silently wondering how people could be that uncritical and unthinking about what they were doing. There was something familiar about that smile. I chuckled silently with amusement and wondered if he was perhaps related to Alfred E. Newman. There were about 10 people standing and sitting in the waiting area. I found a corner to stand in and waited in silence, hanging on to my fruit like everyone else. Finally, it was my turn. What's the banana for? I asked at the first opportunity. The initiator explained that they, the TM organization, had a ceremony of sorts that he was required to do. The fresh fruit was to represent the traditional offering a student would bring to his teacher. Well, what do you do with all the fruit? I asked. In my mind, I imagined a huge pile of rotting symbolic fruit, a sad, wasteful testament to the uselessness of ceremonial gestures. We eat it, he said with a smile. Now I understood. It was merely a way to get some free groceries. If they wanted to add on a surcharge of one banana to the $20 price so that they would have something to eat for breakfast, well, that was all right with me. Nevertheless, I would have preferred that they had been more straightforward. The man standing next to me was about my age, well dressed, soft spoken, and seemed intelligent and serious. He didn't look like a fruit hustler. Maybe it was not them. Hold on. Hold on. I know this word, y'all. Hypothesized. Okay. Maybe it was not them. I hypothesized. Perhaps the people who set this business up knew that they would have a difficult time making ends meet. I let it go. Having solved the banana problem, I went on to the next issue, the impending ceremony. With the intention of being helpful, I offered a constructive criticism to my initiator. I told him I thought any ceremony was completely irrelevant and that it distracted from the rational image they had carefully presented at the public meeting. He politely nodded, indicating to me that he recognized the discrepancy but made no other reply. I have to do the ceremony, he said quietly. It was obvious that he did not care what I thought about his ceremony or probably anything else. This was just the way it must be done. He looked at me for permission to continue. Okay, I said, no big deal. Go ahead, do your ceremony if it makes you feel better. I will go along as long as I do not have to profess any beliefs or make any promises. He smiled at me with amusement and immediately agreed. At his direction, at his direction, we knelt side by side on a small rug in the middle of the kitchen floor. On the floor in front of us was my banana lying in the center of a clean white handkerchief draped over a small plate, a poor man's altar, no doubt. The instructor chanted a little Sanskrit, at least that's at least that is what he said it was, mumbo jumbo for about a minute, then was quiet for about 30 seconds. Finally, he told me my mantra. I repeated it with him a few times until I got it right. In fewer than 3 minutes, I had been given and had properly memorized my very own personal, probably shared by millions, secret mantra. I was put in a large room with several others and told to silently practice my mantra so I would not forget it. Just repeat it over and over in your mind for about 20 minutes, he told me. That's all. After that, you can leave, but be sure to come to the first training meeting. What a crock, I thought. I paid $20 and a banana for this magic Sanskrit mantra. What could repeating some word sound do for my mind? I expected nothing, but having come this far, I was determined to follow directions and give it a fair try. The 20 minutes of practice went by slowly at first, but then I drifted off into a pleasant nowhere. Suddenly, I became aware that some of the initiates who were far behind me in the queue were leaving. They must think that this is a crock too, and they're not going to stay around to practice, I mused. I checked my watch. Whoa, it was way past time to go. I had been practicing some 45 minutes. I checked my watch again to make sure. I tried to get up to leave, but I couldn't move. My body simply refused to respond to my will and effort. That had never happened before. My limbs were heavy as if I had been asleep for a long time, yet I was positive that my consciousness had been unbroken. I had not fallen asleep. That is weird, I thought, as I forced my thick, hold on, viscous, hold on, I know that word, viscous, Viscous. I'm probably look that up later. I know this word. I done listened to this book so many times. Okay. This is weird, I thought, as I forced my thick, viscous, semi solid body to slowly stand up and walk. Hmm, there was something to it, and I was doing it. Or maybe I was merely more tired than I thought. That was not a good explanation. I had gotten more sleep than usual the night before. This is interesting, I thought. Very interesting. I had done something strange, or at least goofy, and experienced something weird. My first trip into inner space, all in the same hour. I remained skeptical, which was and is my nature, but I also remained open minded. There were 4 1 hour sessions remaining, and my curiosity was growing. I was undeniably experienced. I had undeniably experienced something dramatically unusual. That experience, along with my Scottish ancestry and the fact that my $20 was irretrievably gone forever, provided the necessary commitment to follow this TM adventure through to the end. Where we at? 54 minutes. We're going to read another one. Chapter 4. Watch that first step. It's a big one. That happened to you, Dana. Yo, I'm telling you, I mentioned to y'all the first time that happened to me. It was a few weeks ago. I was calling myself. I was like, yo, I literally just closed my eyes and I did it. It was like increments of 10 minutes. And I kept coming to because remember I told you, I was like, okay, the kids are here. James is almost home, but I want to meditate for a few minutes. But I had went into a deep meditation within moments, right? Because practicing it, you just get better and better. And when your body and when you do your deep breathing, and deep breathing actually helps to slow down the brain waves so the meditation can happen. And then you just hit that sweet spot and you go into the deep meditation, right? And it's like time is suspended. Like I literally closed my eyes. It couldn't have been no more than 5 seconds. I wake up, it's 10 minutes late. I'm like, what in the world just happened? Yo, I'm muted. Can you hear me? Anybody else? Y'all can hear me on YouTube. Uncle JB, anybody else can hear me on Facebook? You might need to close your Facebook app and open it back up. Because sometimes well, he probably can't hear me if I'm muted. You can hear, yeah. Dana, do me a favor. Tell him close it and open it back up. Tell him close Facebook and open it back up. Robert, Betwabu. Yeah, it's definitely his phone. Then he must have clicked off and clicked back in. Facebook will do that. Because if you're looking at a video and then you go click on something else and go back to Facebook, the video is just going to automatically mute. And you're going to have to either minimize the video for the volume to come back on or close Facebook altogether and open it back up. Somebody tell him to close it and reopen it. He probably want to hear this next chapter. Can you hear me, Uncle JB? Yeah, I know. Yeah, thank you, Dana. Close Facebook and open back up to get sound back. Adaya, I know. Okay, yeah, it's just over here on Facebook. I think it was just his phone. He must have went out and came back in. Let me know when you can hear me. Let me see how long chapter 4 is. It's good. I think I'll read all chapter 4, and then I think we'll pause and we'll pause at chapter 5. We'll be done in probably like 10 minutes. You back? Can you hear? Can you hear? Auntie, tell your husband to close it and open it back up. I'm waiting to see if he can hear me now before I start reading it. I'm gonna start reading. He's taking too long. It's recorded. Uncle JB, you just gonna have to come back and catch the beginning of this chapter if you still can't hear me. Okay, chapter 4. Watch that first step. It's a big one. 2 days later, I was attending my first training class. There were about 15 of us sitting on uncomfortable gray metal folding chairs. I looked around to assess my peers. We were a somewhat motley but otherwise normal looking crew of casually dressed students. I was hopeful that I was about to learn something remarkable and useful, yet at the same time, I was a little incredulous, almost embarrassed that I had spent 20 perfectly good dollars to be associated with this Indian meditation thing. The instructor looked like us, except he had shorter hair, was clean shaven, and better dressed, obviously not a student. He told us about TM, explained the techniques we should use to maintain the mantra in our minds, and answered our questions. Everything was process oriented, no theory, no more ceremonies requiring sacrificial bananas, no metaphysical mumbo jumbo, just technique. I liked it that way. I knew there was some Indian yoga guy with a long name and a beard to match who was the leader of the TM movement, but no one ever mentioned him other than the fact that this so called guru had sold me this meditation technique through his organization. Neither he nor his organization was relevant to what I could do with it. I verified that fact in no uncertain terms as soon as the instructor opened the meeting to questions. The only condition was that I could not give away or sell the mantra to others. I instinctively didn't trust anything that had to be kept secret, but this request seemed reasonable enough. The TM folks, remember TM is Transcendental Meditation. He was worried about wasting that $20, Dane, I know, right? The TM folks were not hiding something from the scrutinizing light of open critical review. They were merely protecting their source of income and fresh fruit. I consider it a copyright or patent income producing intellectual property to be protected by secrecy. No problem. Finally, the last question was answered, and it was time to practice our meditation technique. I slumped in my steel chair, trying in vain to get comfortable, and began to occupy my mind with the sound of my mantra. In a few minutes, I was nothing but a single point of conscious awareness existing in a void of nothingness, floating free, doing nothing, existing as conscious mind without extent or form. No thoughts, no body, no chair, no room, no instructor, nothing. It was a remarkably pleasant experience until a single thought began to violate the expanse of peace and quiet. Uh-oh, I'm not doing this right. I'm supposed to be thinking the sound of my mantra. That one critical thought interrupted my otherwise thoughtless float in inner space. I needed to get back on task with thinking about my mantra. It's the same thing whether you call it a mantra or praying in tongues. A lot of time when you're just getting started doing it, trying to train yourself to do it, you start off, the next thing you know, you're thinking about food or what you're going to cook for dinner or where you need to go later or what you're going to wear tomorrow, right? You gotta train yourself, bring it back, reel it back in, right? That one critical thought interrupted my otherwise thoughtless float in inner space. I needed to get back on task by thinking about my mantra. Suddenly, awareness of the outside world rushed in, and I was startled to realize that I not only had a body in a room with an instructor, but it was about to fall out of its chair. Ooga, ooga, emergency, emergency. My internal alarms went off. Quickly, I tried to straighten up. My right leg awkwardly shot forward, jerking my body back into balance. Whew, that was a close one. I almost hit the floor like a sack of potatoes. Wouldn't that have been a scene? I thought to myself after it was clear that I had successfully regained my balance. In my imagination, I could see myself thudding to the floor, creating a ruckus. My next thought was more practical. Geez, I might have banged my head on something. Meditation could be dangerous. I made a mental note to be more careful in the future. Almost simultaneously, the instructor began to speak. Come on back, he said. Practice time is over. Great, I thought sarcastically. He noticed, and now he is going to cut everybody's practice time short because I almost fell out of my chair. I looked up. To my surprise, the instructor was engaged in a conversation with a student sitting on the opposite side of the room. He appeared to be totally unaware of me or my near catastrophe. Time's up, he said. I looked at my watch. What? That's impossible. I had just lost 20 minutes of my life. What had I been doing for the last 20 minutes? Where had I been? Any questions? He said to the group in general. I raised my hand. How do you keep from falling out of your chair? I asked. Everybody laughed. I was serious. It did not immediately occur to me that my experience was unusual. I don't think he had ever gotten that question before because he looked surprised and didn't know what to say. What happened? He asked. I started with the mantra, then everything went blank. It was nice, but when I realized I wasn't saying the mantra any longer, I almost fell out of my chair, and the 20 minutes were already up after only a few minutes. Everybody laughed again, including the instructor. I suddenly realized that what I had said sounded confused, disoriented, or stupid. Take your choice, and that no one else had had an experience like mine. Two for two. This meditation could be strange stuff, I thought to myself. The question and answer session wrapped up quickly. We were told to practice meditating twice a day for 20 minutes each time. He set the time for excuse me. He set the time for our next meeting. Hold on, I need a sip of water. Sorry. Okay. La 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 la. Okay, that's better. Okay. Two for two. This meditation could be strange stuff, I thought to myself. The question and answer session wrapped up quickly. We were told to practice meditating twice a day for 20 minutes each time. He set the time for our next meeting and we were dismissed. I had meditated, or at least attempted to do so, twice, and both times I had experienced something very strange. What would happen next time, I wondered. This was exciting. Something seemed to be happening. My intellect and curiosity were being tickled. I wanted to experiment. I wanted to know if anything real was involved. Would it work as they claim? If so, then what else could I do with it? Yes, babe.
You be down here reading the nighttime story. God, you read the whole book, baby.
No, like I really want to get through chapter 4. Like they know if they got to go to work, they just need to go.
Ain't you got to go to work?
Ain't you got to go to work?
Oh, so I work for you?
In so many words. No, I'm joking.
I know you ain't. I know you better not.
We work for each other. We work for each other.
Huh?
Maybe. I'm still off a little bit.
Anyway, go ahead.
I work for you, boss.
Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. No, seriously, we almost done.
Got some things to do.
My intellect and curiosity
Right.
were being tickled. I wanted to experiment. I wanted to know if anything real. I see you in a few minutes. That was probably a bad place to start back up. I wanted to know if anything real was involved. Would it work as they claim? If so, then what else could I do with it?
I got to throw some of this ice down.
Oh, yeah.
I
Okay.
got to throw some down at the office, at the warehouse, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
The rest of the training, we got some more buckets at the
I got
warehouse.
tons of ice. That's why I told Jonathan to take something to your mom and put some down in her house.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
You gonna throw
buckets
some
in.
down on Miss Lynn's?
Yeah, I throw some down on Miss Lena.
Mr. Henry?
Yeah, I throw
Okay.
some on hers and make sure they're straight.
Aren't you the nice neighbor?
I would throw some down on yours. Let me sprinkle some of this salt.
We about to have a snowstorm, y'all.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we literally
We
are.
about to have, well, they say
What?
it's gonna be a snowstorm, but we talking about the ice. But we literally have two elderly neighbors that live on the both sides of us, and so he's normally pretty nice. He'll go salt their stairs because they both have to walk downstairs, and they're older.
But listen.
So that way, if they happen to come out, okay, I'm finished. I digress. Go back. We almost done. Okay. The rest of the training classes resembled the first one, except I sat in a chair next to the wall at an angle so that I could not fall out. I need to wear a seatbelt and a helmet or find a bigger chair, I thought with amusement. I immediately saw a mental picture of myself sitting in a folding metal chair in front of a big fan. I was in the middle of an otherwise empty room wearing a seatbelt, a motorcycle helmet, goggles, and with a scarf. Are you gonna sit and listen? Are you gonna sit here and keep messing with me? Stop.
Ooh. Man, it's cold.
Look, they're here to listen. They're not here for your shenanigans. Well, some of y'all might be.
Are you gonna stop me? You really gonna stop me?
Listen, you stopping me from finishing this so I can come be with you. All right. Sheesh.
Don't stop me, man. If you stop me, I'm gonna stop.
Look.
You don't want to stop?
James Murphy.
Do you?
Y'all, I'm sorry. We're having technical difficulties at the moment. We're having technical difficulties at the moment. No, Mr. Murphy, but this is neither the time nor the place for this. Go ahead. Be intoxicated with that until I come upstairs. Okay. Listen, let me go back. He's making me lose my spot. Okay. The rest of the training classes resembled the first one, except I sat in a chair next to the wall at an angle so I could not fall out. I need to wear a seatbelt and a helmet or find a bigger chair, I thought with amusement. I immediately saw a mental picture of myself sitting in a folding metal chair in front of a big fan. I was in the middle of an otherwise empty room wearing a seatbelt, a motorcycle helmet, goggles, and with a scarf flapping in the breeze behind me, thus the need for the fan. I was thoroughly amused and grinned broadly at the bizarre scene. I immediately thought of Ace Snoopy sitting on the top of his doghouse engaging the Red Baron in battle with his Sopwith camel. I often saw pictures like that. Some were funny, like that one, some were helpful. They never took but a few seconds and disappeared as quickly as they came. With each training class, floating in the blank state or existing in the single point of conscious awareness state became easier and more familiar. Shortly, I would learn through trial and error to combine the blank state with controlled visuals. The two may seem incompatible, but they are not. 2 months later, I was meditating twice a day, being careful to put my body in a situation where it would not fall. The point awareness or point consciousness experience continued. It was always pleasant. I usually wanted to stay longer, but did not because I was extremely busy. I also found it invigorating. It seemed to boost my energy. The biggest surprise of all was that meditation could be professionally productive. By adding the visuals, it turned out to be a great place to work. I could solve physics problems, design experiments, analyze research data, and write and debug computer code 10 times more quickly and with better results while in a point awareness state than I could in a normal state of consciousness. You see what he did? Those problems, remember how we talked about it before you go on meditation, if you just go in there to relax and just woosah, then that's okay. But if you have a pressing issue or a problem that needs to be solved, make that your intent of going into this particular meditation. Make that the intent, finding the answer to this problem. So while you're meditating, right? So you know how I tell you, like when I'm just in there just meditating, I will hold the Torah before my mind, or I'll read it while I'm praying or meditating or whatever. Before I go into the deeper meditation where, but you can just take that problem, right? And just think on that problem while you're meditating and you're doing your chanting, and then it will begin to unfold. It may not happen like right away, but the more you practice, you'll begin to see the results. It's amazing, y'all. I promise y'all, it's amazing. Y'all just got to try it. Listen, hold on. I also found it invigorating but I'm sorry, I also found it invigorating. It seemed to boost my energy. The biggest surprise of all was that meditation could be professionally productive. By adding the visuals, it turned out to be a great place to work. I could solve physics problems, design experiments, analyze research data, and write and debug computer code 10 times more quickly and with better results while in a point awareness state than I could in a normal state of consciousness. Extremely complex matters seem to become much simpler and clearer in my meditation state. Excuse me. When you work a full week unsuccessfully trying to find a bug in your analysis software and then go home and solve the problem, not just imagining that you have solved it, mind you, but actually solved it in just 10 minutes of meditation time, well, then you know that you have found something that has real effects and real value. This type of illogical yet extraordinarily productive experience was not merely circumstantial. It did not happen only once or twice, off and on. It became a dependable routine. Eventually, I did not wait until all normal methods and efforts were exhausted before tuning into meditation. It worked as well when I tried it first. It worked as well when I tried it first, saving a great deal of time and effort by skipping the first three steps of the process. Hard work, long hours, frustration, and exasperation were no longer prerequisites for solving difficult and complex programming and physics problems. I was surprised and delighted that meditation had a direct, objective, practical value. This was an unexpected revelation. I tested it, and then I began to depend on it. I had gotten smarter, it seemed, and the other graduate students noticed. They commented on a change in my abilities more now, more than ever before. They wanted to discuss their research and came to me for help in debugging code. I told them about TM. Remember, TM is Transcendental Meditation. I told them about TM, but none made an effort to try it. That surprised me. For some strange reason, I had thought physicists would be more open. Meditation appeared to be, I'm sorry, a meditation appeared to require too big a step out of the comfort zones of their personal and cultural belief systems. Oh well, it's their loss, I thought. I did not know it then, but I was on my way to becoming strange. I was, at the very least, it seemed unusually open minded. My perspective and reality was expanding. Up to this time, I believe that meaningful existence was confined to an operational reality. That is, if something can be measured, it is real. To be measurable, a thing must interact with our senses or with some device that interacts with our senses. If it's not measurable, cannot. Oh, okay. If it is not measurable, cannot interact with us or our devices, then its reality or existence or lack thereof is irrelevant. It was that simple. Things were either operationally real or irrelevant. Things that are not measurable but can be inferred from other things that are measurable fall into the gray area of conjecture. All things theoretical or hypothetical fall into this gray basket. Gray things are acceptable as conceptual constructs or ideals, but are not to be confused with real things and are not to be taken too seriously in and of themselves. The primary mission of the academic research scientist is to collect, hold on, the primary mission of the academic research sciences is to collect enough valid, repeatable measurement data to transfer a gray theoretical construct into a real object or effect. At that time, quantum mechanical wave packets, black holes, quarks, justice, and love all fit into that gray area. It is important not to confuse hypothetical things with real things, or you can easily end up chasing your own imaginary tail or hallucinating the attributes of solidity to smoke. My mind was not closed. I allowed for the possibility of new information. With enough real measured data, one might eventually move a thing, such as black holes, for example, from the realm of the hypothetical to the realm of real, but only with sufficient good quality data. That particular attitude has never changed. I continue to feel that way, work that way, and employ that methodology to sort out what was real from what is not. Now I had to change my philosophy of reality. There were those things that were non measurable, yet functionally operational, including my meditation state, which is properly defined as an altered state of consciousness that fell into the category of subjective experience with objective results. One can use these non measurable states of mind to operate on real things. Here I am using terms operate and operator in the mathematical or, I'm sorry, here I am using the terms operate and operator in the mathematical or scientific sense. I had shown that an altered state of consciousness directed by intent can consistently and directly affect and interact with real things such as my computer code. Complex logical problems could be solved without the intentional application of a rational process. Somehow, a non measurable subjective experience could be turned into a reliable an effective scientific tool by some sort of consciousness operator. Very interesting. In contrast to conceptual constructs such as justice and love, altered states of consciousness and their objective results seem to be measurable, consistent, and reasonably well defined. They were more like the things of science, things that were amenable to research and experiment. If one is in this particular altered state, one can always do these things with similar activity, will produce similar results for all experimenters. I read that again. If one is in this particular altered state, one can always do these things with, I'm reading it too slow now. Hold on. If one is in this particular altered state, one can always do these things with it. Similar activity produce similar results for all experimenters. I was not special. I was the same as anyone else. I wonder if other altered states of consciousness existed and what one could do with them. I was curious. It is my nature to be curious. My reality expanded. I added the statement, if a thing is well defined and consistently functional, it can profitably and dependably be used by anyone within the known operational reality. Then it must also be real. It seemed reasonable that only real things could be functional operators within and on an operational reality. Let me read it again. It seemed reasonable that only real things could be functional operators within and on an operational reality. How could something not real directly affect things that are real? By definition, in an operational reality, things that are not real have no measurable effect, cannot interact with, and have no relevance to things that are real. My meditation had a measurable objective effect. I knew it. I had a dozen others that had clearly noticed it as well, even if they did not understand why. To me, it was as plain as day and totally obvious this was no subtle effect being misunderstood by some mushy headed non scientists. This was no hallucination. I knew what I knew. How many others, if any, agreed with me was not relevant. I had confidence in my mind and my science. I began to analyze other common altered states, such as daydreaming. Were daydreams self directed imagination or purposeful visual imagery? Hold on, I read it too slow. I began to analyze other common altered states, such as daydreaming. Were daydreams, self directed imagination, or purposeful visual imagery functional? Of course. Why had I not noticed that before? People had been preparing themselves mentally for all sorts of things since the beginning of time. For example, one might repetitively practice giving a speech in one's imagination, making points, and fielding imagined questions. The relevancy criteria are: is it consistently functional? Does it actually help one's performance in objective reality? And are the effects measurable? Our directed imagination example would rate a definite yes on all accounts. Ask any top notch athlete if focused, intentional mental preparation is important to his or her success. Mental effort within the context of a particular altered state must represent a real thing because it produces real effects that are universal as well as specific to that particular mental state. Altered was defined as different from normal. Normal meant wide awake and focused in the physical world, as you are now while you are reading this book. Each altered state has its functionality. Daydreaming is one specific type of altered state. Of all possible altered states, Those with no universal and consistent functionality are, by definition, useless and therefore irrelevant. It was only the useful ones that I'm sorry, it was only the useful ones that were welcomed into my newly expanded reality. Those were the ones I wanted to know about. Real things, significant things, must now be either objectively measurable or consistently and predictably interactive with real things. That was a major expansion of my real world. The word objective means that these real things must exist universally and consistently for others as well as for me. They must be independent of me and exist whether I exist or not. Others, potentially everyone, must be able to make the same measurements and find the same measurable functionality. Otherwise, they would only be my private hallucinations, not a part of the larger reality we all share. When I realized the scope of the reality picture was much bigger than I had previously thought, I wondered if there were other subjective experiences that had consistent, objective, measurable results. Where were the boundaries? How much more reality was out there that I had missed? What other real and functional processes of mine were lurking behind my limited awareness? I had been blindly unaware of a significant part of my reality for 20 some years. That thought was a mind bender and weighed heavily on me that I had inadvertently imposed a major limitation on my operative reality out of sheer ignorance was unacceptable, inexcusable, and more than a little humbling. What other significant parts of my life was I missing? I had to find that answer. Being content to accept whatever is given without pushing hard against the boundaries is absolutely foreign to my nature. My mind had been forced open by the indisputable facts of my experience, and as a result, I had become less of a philosophical know it all. I realized there was much about life and reality I did not know. Arrogance waned, and openness and curiosity waxed. I have not significantly I have not significantly changed my philosophical approach toward defining reality in the 33 years that I have come and gone since then. Today, my definition of what constitutes a real experience remains essentially the same. Any credible conception of reality must include subjective experience that can consistently and universally lead to a useful objective measurable by anyone. Functionality. Much later, it became evident that expanding my reality beyond a certain beginning level would require personal growth. I had to increase the quality of my consciousness to understand the bigger picture. Conversely, understanding the bigger picture helped me grow up. They work together. Thus, my journey began innocently enough. Interestingly, though nothing much has changed as far as my overall philosophy goes, the continual flow of incredible learning experiences has steadily accelerated. My understanding of reality continues to actively expand. And that, my beautiful people, is where we're going to pause at today. Ain't it good so far, y'all? It's all good, especially if y'all since the last book of actually practicing and starting to meditate, if y'all weren't before, but if y'all have actually started, you should be having some experiences, like some personal spiritual experiences that should be blowing your mind at least a little bit, right? So if you haven't started, I would recommend set aside, shucks, do like what he said. I said, shucks, if you can't do at least 20 minutes or 30 minutes or even an hour. Some people don't have the time, but start somewhere. I said if you couldn't start somewhere, at least start with 5 minutes. They recommend 20. As long as you start somewhere, you're going to begin to see results. The more time you put in, the more results you're going to see, and the faster you're going to see it, right? So I hope, now I know some of y'all have because y'all been sharing with me via email and stuff. But you're going to see as we get into this, you're going to really begin to understand some of the details he's talking about, because you should be experiencing it in your personal time, right? Yo, Joy, you just starting? Okay. I'm excited about this. All right, y'all. So let me put my page over here. 57. Okay. Chapter 4. 57. We read chapter 1 through chapter 4. And that was pages 34 through 57. All right, beautiful people. I want to mark something. I'll come back and mark it in a minute. Let me go ahead and end this. All right, beautiful people. I was about to call Bella, but then I got stuck in a stretch. Hold on. Let me see if she want to end it. My squeaking chair. I need to tighten up them screws on. Bella. Okay, come on, girl. We're about to end it. We're about to do the blessing. Mommy, I'm coming. All right, beautiful people. So it is Thursday. Happy Thursday, January 20th. 2022, day number 9 of year 4, reading through the books of the law and the prophets. Another 4-year consecutive day count, day 1027. We read Genesis 25 through 27, and we read chapter 1 to chapter 4 of My Big Toe. You know, I had to get it out because she be impatient. She was like, I thought we was about to end this. Okay. All right, beautiful people. I'll be posting a couple things today in regards to the body. Give me a little bit. After I get myself together, all this stuff, I'll post it. Just be on the lookout for it. All right, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed the reading for today. Remember, go checking into them Sumerian text, y'all. Mommy, if you was here at the beginning of the video. Mommy. Yes, babe.
You clean your nails?
I clean my nails? Yes, babe. Mm-hmm.
You didn't. Look in the back.
What?
Them still dirty.
That is not dirty.
Yes, it is. Right there.
Right. Oh, thank you, Tootie. Right there at the corner. Okay, well, thank you. I'll go get my little brush and scrub them.
And Mom is cannot get
Hold on. Hold on. What is going? All right. All right, beautiful people. Girl, chill. You know what? You should have put on my stuff. Hold on. Put this on your lips.
Next, you can let me up here.
Maybe. I don't know. Here. We're going to do your school first. Because you like, when you get up there, you don't be wanting to get off. I ain't got time for your shenanigans today. Mm-hmm. Rub it in. Rub your lips together.
No. Cannot do not the top.
Not enough for the top. You good, girl. You good. Okay, y'all. Okay. Remember, the blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. You done? Here you are. You good? Okay. Mm-hmm. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, Yahuwah will kneel before us, presenting gifts, and will guard us with a hedge of protection. Yahuwah will illuminate the wholeness of his being towards us, bringing order, and he will provide us with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yahuwah will lift up the wholeness of his being and look upon us, and he will set in place all we need to be whole and complete. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people.
Mom, guess what?
I love y'all.
Mom, guess what? I actually shot your nail and here.
Yeah, I know. You poked yourself in the head with my nail. All right, y'all. I love y'all. I'll see y'all back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Mom, we can go to the nail shop. Mom, we can go to the nail shop and do these ones.
Yeah, we'll go to the nail shop in a few days, girl. I wish I would have answered that question before. Hold on, girl. Look, you gotta hit post. Hold on, wait. I just saw Israelite Maya's
Mom,
question.
what's your name?
Hold on.
I want to do
it. I ain't give you my code. Okay. Hit hold on. You gotta turn to the side, I think. Broadcast details. Oh, there we go. Hit that. No, look, girl, before you delete it. Hit it. Okay, boom. Okay. Here's what like Maya said. I'm new to meditate. Wait, hold on, don't end it yet. Hold on, don't end it. Look, go on the stairs. Let me answer this question. Go. Go there with your daddy. I'm sorry. Hold on. I do want to answer this.
Mom.
Yep.
Mom, next you can call me back.
Yeah, I'm gonna call you back in a minute because I'm gonna take that back. But let me answer this question. Okay. Israelite Maya said, I'm new to meditation and it seems so peaceful once you really focus. Do you have to put up the hand signals while doing it? Okay, so if you go to the community section, even on Facebook too, if you go there, you will see I did a couple posts, and you will see hand signals, right? And they're called mudras. What happens is when you meditate or you're positioning your body as you're doing your breathing, you can do the different hand signals, and you will notice if you've seen in like the Eastern tradition or anybody that's meditating, they're sitting there doing the Om and they're changing the hand signals and stuff. It's really a form of relaxing your body because you have pressure points. Remember, you have pressure points in your hands and in your feet and different places on your body. So they call them mudras, right? So the different hand signals, you want to call them hand signals, or when they change positions or when they're doing their breath or they're working on the different chakras, they'll change their hand position, right? They'll do different things. But what it's doing is also helping to relax the body, but through the hand. And when you do that, you're hitting the pressure points. So don't think a lot of people, if they don't understand it, think, oh, it's a bunch of mumbo jumbo. They might be doing some witchcraft. But I think it's helpful. I think you don't have to, but as you begin to do it, you will realize that it's actually helpful and it helps you to relax. As a matter of fact, you could even just sit and do the mudras. I actually have a book called Mudras as I was learning about it, going through the hand signals. So if you've ever gone to get a massage, they'll go through like the different massaging, the different pressure points and stuff, and the different mudras concentrate on the different pressure points, right? So when it helps the energy just flow through your body, right? And you can feel it. You feel it when you stretch. Like it's like that same thing. You start massaging, even do it with your hands. You'll begin to feel that like release and the energy of flow, right? When you just do certain things, just stretching. So those mudras actually help while doing that. You don't have to, but I think it's beneficial if you do. Sometimes I'll sit while I'm not even meditating and I'll just do the hand signals. They've actually even scientifically tested some of those mudras where you can actually heal your body if you put enough focus on it and you practice it enough. It will actually begin to help release healing on the inside of your body. Y'all should really look into it. I mean, more than what I think I posted maybe like 3 videos on it. They're really helpful. Go look at them in the community section. But look more into it. I'll share the name of the book that I got too. I'll take a picture of, matter of fact, I'll find it on Amazon because I ordered it from Amazon. I'll find a picture from Amazon and I'll screenshot it from there and I'll put the link for it if you want to go get it, right? It's just the link that I would normally go. I ain't getting paid for none of the stuff I share with y'all. I'm just giving y'all the same link that I go to when I purchase my stuff. I put it in Amazon. Oh, I got an Amazon Prime account, so I put it in there and I buy it, right? So you can just you ain't got to use the link. If you think I'm up to some shenanigans, just type it in your own browser. Use the link that pop up for you. But I'm giving you the names and stuff so you can go looking into it. But really, you should look into it. It's not witchcraft. It's not all this hocus pocus. Some people would lead you to believe it is. And people that's leading you to believe that are really ignorant. Ignorant in the sense of they don't know what they're talking about because they haven't actually looked into it and they haven't studied it. And if you go and you look up some of the mudras, and you actually do it, you can do it yourself. You will actually begin to feel it in your own body. It can't be denied. It really can't be denied once you practice. If you just sit and listen to somebody talk, like, oh yeah, go ahead, get out of here with all that. But seriously, if you just sit yourself and do the different ones or whatever, Guys, it's no brainer. It's medically and scientifically proven, right? So when you see somebody meditating and they're changing the hand signals and stuff when they breathe, you'll also see that video up there with Yaki. He's sitting under a Merkaba that he has in his meditation room. You will notice while he's showing you how to meditate. It's like a 3-minute video. Matter of fact, I posted that video right before I posted ones about the mudras. You will notice if you watch him, you will see every time he takes a breath, he'll change his hand position. He'll even go and do the one right here on his forehead, right? So just look into it, right? Just, learn about it a little bit and you will see. It's not a bunch of hocus pocus, and it really will help you in the overall health of your body as you're restoring it to how it should be, so you can align the energies in your body, the frequencies, whatever, so you can have a better connection to your creator, right? You're unclogging your stopped up ears and you're getting your energy flowing, and as you eat a plant-based diet and cleanse all of that death out of you and replace it with life, you're going to see that everything, the energy begins to flow. Your spiritual ears will begin to open. They'll become, it's like that wax getting cleared out your ear. It's like you'll be able to see clearer in the spirit. Like all those things begin to happen as you begin to use these things simultaneously, right? And it should be like an everyday thing as you grow. If it seems overwhelming, just try and pick one thing. If it's your diet you're working on, work on that. If it's fasting you're trying to work on, just start in little bits. Maybe fast a meal, but make everything, get it to the point where everything is just a normal way of life and you're just using all these things simultaneously throughout your day. And it's a process. Yeah, decalcifying the pineal gland. Eating fresh fruits will help decalcify your pineal gland. Pineapple is really good for it, right? Citrus fruits will help decalcify the pineal gland, right? Stop eating all that junk, the greasy foods, the meats. The meats is one of the quickest things that will calcify and spiritually put you to sleep, right? So everybody that's fighting over the clean meats too, I'm telling you, the clean meats too. You can still hear a little bit, while you're eating. Not saying that you should keep on eating because you can hear a little bit, but don't you want to be able to hear clearly using like these two ears and your spiritual ears, right? Then you got to cut it out altogether, even the clean meats. And that's coming from somebody that put away the unclean meats and then for years only ate the clean meats because that's what Torah said. But I still found a disconnect while actually doing that and living that. And I had questions. What is going on, right? That was added. It was added to the priesthood. Some people, they ain't ready for that bit of truth yet, but things were added. There was a lot of stuff added in Torah that was added to the priesthood that we should not be doing, that y'all didn't say, that they said y'all said. But that comes with growth and studying and actually experiencing and doing. When you begin to do, your learning will ramp up, will go up another level, So, but yeah, Joy, I know it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard in the beginning. It really is, right? But as long as you keep going, you will keep growing. If you keep going, you'll keep growing. All right. So, with that being said, I just wanted to answer. I done scrolled up too far. Hold on. I'm sorry, I forgot her name. Israelite Maya. I just wanted to answer her question. All right, y'all. So with that being said, I'll post a couple more things about the mudras too. So, but all right, y'all. With that being said, y'all got a little bit more than Facebook got today. So, but I'll see y'all tomorrow. I'm out of here. Peace.